I pushed the door open with a smile still on my face, the ring box warm in my hand. I whispered, "Emily, I'm home early." But my voice died when I heard a laugh that wasn't hers alone. I froze, trying to believe I imagined it. Then I heard her say, "Ryan, stop." But it didn't sound like she wanted him to stop. My chest tightened. I walked down the hallway, each step heavier than the last, like my body already knew what my mind refused to accept. When I reached the bedroom door, I hesitated only for a second before turning the knob and stepping inside. I saw everything in one painful second. Emily's eyes widened when she saw me, and she grabbed the sheet like it could erase what she had done. Ryan didn't even bother to cover himself. He just stared at me with this blank look, like I was the one interrupting something normal. My hand shook around the ring box. I felt heat rise in my face, but my voice came out soft. "How long?" I asked. Emily sobbed and reached out, but I stepped back, feeling like the air was poisoned. Ryan shrugged and said, "It wasn't supposed to be a big deal." His voice made something break inside me. Emily cried, "Noah, it's not what it looks like. Please, I swear." I cut her off with a quiet, "Don't." I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I didn't even cry. My body felt numb, like I left myself standing there while the real me ran far away. Emily begged again, but her voice sounded distant, like it came from underwater. I walked out before either of them could say another word. I heard her stumble after me, but I made it to the front door first. "Noah, please talk to me," she cried, but I kept walking. The cold night air hit my face, but even that didn't wake me from the shock. I sat in my car, staring at the ring box. "What a joke," I whispered. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I didn't know where to go, so I drove aimlessly until my mind finally pushed me to call the only people I thought I could count on. My mom answered first. "Noah, why are you calling so late?" she asked. I swallowed hard and said, "Mom, Emily cheated on me. With Ryan." There was a long silence. I expected a gasp, concern, something human. Instead she sighed and said, "Noah, don't start drama right before the wedding." I stared at the phone, wondering if I heard her wrong. "Drama," I repeated. She said, "It's stressful planning everything already. Just talk to her calmly and work it out." My dad's voice came on next. "Son, don't make a big deal about this," he said, like I was complaining about a broken chair. "Relationships are complicated. If you blow up the wedding, people will talk. Think about the family." I felt my throat tighten. "Dad, she slept with my roommate," I said slowly, hoping he would finally understand the weight of it. Instead he said, "Handle it like a man. Fix it quietly." I leaned back in the driver's seat and closed my eyes. Their words hurt in a different way, deep and sharp. "I just needed someone on my side," I whispered. My mom replied, "We are on your side. That's why we want you to stay calm. Don't ruin everything you worked for." I ended the call because staying on the line felt like bleeding out. I stared at the steering wheel, trying to breathe, but all I felt was this crushing pressure on my chest. I didn't know what hurt more, the betrayal or the fact that my own parents didn't care. I spent the night in the car behind a closed grocery store. I kept replaying everything in my head. Emily's voice, Ryan's face, my parents' cold words. What am I supposed to do now? I whispered to no one. The ring box sat in the cup holder like an open wound. I wanted to throw it, break it, destroy it, but I just stared at it until my eyes burned. I felt hollow, like someone reached into my chest and carved out everything warm. As the sun rose, I sat up and rubbed my face. I can't go back, I told myself. Not yet. My phone buzzed with messages from Emily. Then from Ryan. Then from my mom. I didn't answer any of them. I wasn't ready to speak. I wasn't ready to breathe. I wasn't ready for anything except sitting there, trying to understand how the life I built fell apart in a single hour. I kept thinking about the way Emily looked at me, how fear replaced whatever fake affection she used to show. I wondered if she ever loved me, or if I was just the safest option. Why wasn't I enough? I murmured, though I already knew the answer had nothing to do with me. Ryan's voice echoed in my mind, that careless tone he used like he didn't break something important. I thought about confronting him, yelling, punching, screaming, anything to release the fire burning in my chest, but I didn't. Around mid-morning, I finally stepped out of the car. The air smelled like rain. I walked a few steps before leaning against the door, trying to steady my breathing. My phone buzzed again. I checked the screen. Emily, please come home. We need to talk. Ryan, can we talk? My mom. Don't let emotions ruin the wedding. I stared at the messages, feeling smaller with each one. I whispered, no one sees me. No one cares what this did to me. Saying it out loud made my chest ache, but it also made something inside me wake up. I tightened my fist around the phone. I have to handle this myself, I told the empty parking lot. No one else is going to save me. I woke up to the harsh sunlight hitting my face through the car window. My neck hurt, my back hurt, and my chest hurt even more. My phone buzzed nonstop. I finally picked it up and heard my mom's voice the second I answered. She didn't even say hello. She just snapped, Noah, come home right now. We need to talk. I rubbed my eyes and muttered, why? So you can tell me again that I'm overreacting. She sighed like I was the one stressing her out. Just come home. Fine, I said, even though every part of me wanted to disappear instead. When I walked into the house, my dad was sitting at the dining table with the morning paper like nothing in the world was wrong. My mom crossed her arms. Sit down, she said. I stayed standing. Say what you want to say. She exchanged a look with my dad before saying, you can't ruin the wedding. I laughed, but it sounded broken. You're joking. No, she replied sharply. We spent months planning this. People already booked their flights. Dad lowered the paper and said, you're a grown man. Handle this like one. Handle what? I snapped. My fiancé sleeping with my roommate? Dad frowned like I was being dramatic. Mistakes happen. I felt my jaw tighten. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. Not this. Mom raised her voice. Lower your tone. We didn't raise you to fall apart every time something goes wrong. I stared at them, stunned. Fall apart? You think this is me falling apart? Dad shrugged. It happens to everyone. I felt my heartbeat jump. Did it happen to you? I asked quietly. He didn't answer. Mom waved her hand. We're not talking about us. We're talking about you. The wedding cost money. If you walk away now, you'll embarrass us in front of everyone. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Embarrass you? What about me? What about what I feel? Dad scoffed. You're a man. Feelings don't solve anything. You marry her and move on. Move on. I whispered. From betrayal? Mom stepped closer. Emily called us. She said she's sorry. She said she wants to fix things. I felt heat rise in my chest. She slept with Ryan. In our bed. And you want me to pretend it didn't happen? Dad stood up. You're too emotional. You need to calm down before ruining your life. I shook my head. My life is already ruined. Mom snapped. Only because you're making it bigger than it is. I stared at her in disbelief. You really don't see me at all. She sighed again. Noah, love is messy. You forgive her, you marry her, and you forget this ever happened. I clenched my fists. Why is everyone telling me to forget what broke me? My dad tapped the table. Because dragging this out will only make it worse. Just talk to the girl and fix it. I closed my eyes. You want me to marry someone who doesn't love me enough to stay faithful? Mom said, people don't cheat because they don't love someone. They cheat because they're scared or lonely. I almost laughed. So now it's my fault. She shook her head. Stop twisting my words. We want what's best for you. Do you? I asked. Or do you just want a perfect wedding photo? My dad held up his hand. Enough. You need to talk to Emily today. You need to sit with her privately and decide how to move forward. I already know how, I said. Mom narrowed her eyes. Don't say something stupid. I laughed bitterly. You think ending a relationship with a cheater is stupid? Dad said. Ending a wedding 6 weeks before the date is irresponsible. My throat tightened. What about the fact that she destroyed everything we built? Mom snapped. You're being dramatic. I felt like she slapped me. Dramatic, I repeated quietly. Right. She reached for my arm. Noah, please. Don't throw away a good woman over one bad moment. I pulled back. A good woman? Mom nodded. She made a mistake. Everyone deserves forgiveness. I looked at both of them. Who forgives me? Neither answered. My phone buzzed again. Emily. I showed them the screen. She's been calling nonstop. Mom said, that's good. She's trying. A bitter laugh escaped my throat. Trying to what? Save the wedding? Or save her image? Dad said, stop overthinking everything. I'm not overthinking, I said. I'm trying to understand why the people who should be on my side aren't. Mom stepped back, frustrated. We are on your side. But life doesn't stop because your feelings are hurt. I stared at her. My feelings aren't just hurt. Something inside me broke. Dad shook his head. You need to toughen up. I'm done talking, I said. Mom raised her voice. Where are you going? Away from here, I replied. I need space. Dad warned. If you walk out now, you'll regret it. I shook my head. I regret trusting the wrong people. Not walking out. As I reached the door, Mom said, Noah, don't be stupid. Don't ruin the wedding because of one mistake. I turned around slowly. The wedding is already ruined. I'm just accepting it. She tried again. Talk to Emily before you decide anything. I nodded once. I will. But not because you told me to. Dad muttered. You're making a mistake. I met his eyes. No. I'm finally seeing clearly. I stepped outside and let the door close behind me. The air felt colder than before, but somehow clearer. My phone buzzed again. Emily begging to talk. Ryan acting like nothing happened. I ignored them both and whispered to myself. I'm not forgiving them, but I'm not rushing either. I need to understand everything before I make my next move. And for the first time since last night, I felt a tiny spark of control return to my chest. I sat in the cafe staring at the door, gripping the warm cup even though I hadn't taken a sip. When Emily walked in, her eyes were already red. She rushed to me, whispering, Noah, thank you for coming, before sliding into the seat. I kept my hand still and said, Talk. That's why you wanted me here. She wiped her tears and whispered, I didn't mean for any of it to happen. I looked at her and said, You kept calling, so say what you need to say. She gripped the edge of the table. Ryan took advantage of me. I was lonely. You were always working. I made a stupid mistake. I felt my jaw tighten. Don't put this on my work. I'm not, she said quickly. I'm saying I felt alone, and he showed up at the wrong time. I didn't want him. I wanted you. I leaned back. Then why didn't you stop? Her lips trembled. I don't know. I thought you didn't care anymore. I shook my head. If you thought that, you could have talked to me. She whispered. I was scared you'd leave me. I said, and now? She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Now I'm terrified. I love you, Noah. I only love you. Please don't end this. We can fix it. The wedding can still happen. Hearing the word wedding made my stomach twist. I whispered, You cheated in our home. She squeezed her eyes shut. I know. I regret it every second. I was weak. Ryan took advantage of that. He knew I was lonely. I stared at her, unsure if she was lying or if she convinced herself that she was the victim. She said, Just tell me what you need. I'll do anything. I can go to therapy. I can cut him off. I can make this right. I whispered, You can't make something right that never should have happened. At that moment, someone laughed behind me. I recognized the sound instantly. Ryan walked in like the cafe was his place. Oh, he said, smirking when he saw us. Didn't realize you two were here. Emily stiffened. Ryan, leave. He sat at the table next to ours like he owned the place. Relax, Em. We're all adults. I glared at him. Why are you here? He shrugged. Coffee. Plus, you two needed a push to talk things out. Emily hissed. You're making this worse. Ryan leaned closer. It just happened, Noah. You're dragging this out. My fists tightened. It didn't just happen. He shrugged again. We were drunk. It wasn't planned. Emily whispered. Ryan, stop talking. He ignored her. Look, man, you're blowing this up. People cheat. It's normal. Just let it go. I stood up. If I stay here another second, I'm going to break something. Emily grabbed my wrist. Don't walk away. Please. Ryan smirked. Come on, Noah. Don't be soft. I yanked my arm free. I'm done listening to this. Emily begged again, but her voice faded behind me as I walked out. Outside, the cold air hit me hard. I leaned against the wall, breathing fast. I can't do this, I whispered. Not like this. Later that afternoon, I dragged myself into my workplace break room, desperate for silence. That's when Jake walked in. He froze when he saw me. Dude, you okay? I forced a weak answer. Not really. He hesitated before saying, I heard about you know. I looked up sharply. How? Jake sighed. Ryan runs his mouth at work. He bragged about you not knowing. Said he'd been seeing Emily for months. My chest tightened. Months. Jake nodded. Yeah. Everybody at work knew except you. I felt my stomach drop. He bragged about it? Jake sat beside me. He acted proud. Like winning some sick game. I clenched my fists. Emily said it happened once. Jake shook his head. No. He said it wasn't new at all. I swallowed hard. So they both lied to me today. Jake whispered, I'm sorry, man. I didn't know how to tell you before. I nodded slowly. Thanks for telling me now. Silence filled the room for a moment. Jake finally said, You don't deserve any of that. I whispered, I know. But knowing doesn't make it hurt less. He asked, What are you going to do? I leaned back, feeling something shift inside me. I'm not sure yet. Jake nodded. If you need anything, I'm around. I said quietly, I'll be fine. Eventually. When he left, I sat alone in the dim break room, replaying every word. Emily's tears. Ryan's arrogance. Jake's honesty. It all tangled in my head. My heart felt raw, but there was something else too, a strange calm rising beneath the pain. I whispered to myself, I won't chase the truth anymore. It's already showing itself. I breathed slowly. I won't fight for people who lie to my face. I rested my hands on the table. I won't scream. I won't beg. I won't make a scene. I looked toward the doorway, feeling that cold clarity settle deeper. I'll let them fall, I whispered. On their own. And for the first time in days, I felt the beginning of something that almost resembled strength. When I unlocked the apartment door, I told myself I was only there to pack my things. I didn't plan to argue, explain myself, or listen to another excuse. I just wanted to grab my clothes, my documents, and whatever pieces of myself I still had left. But the moment I stepped inside, Emily rushed toward me like she'd been waiting at the door all day. Noah, please don't leave, she cried, grabbing my wrist. Just talk to me. Give me one chance. I pulled my arm free. I'm not here to talk. I'm here to pack. She followed me down the hallway. I can change. I swear I'll earn your trust back. I opened the closet and started pulling out hangers. You can't fix something you already threw away. She stood behind me, shaking. I didn't throw anything away. I was confused. I was lonely. Ryan took advantage. I cut her off. Stop blaming him. She stepped closer. Then blame me. Just don't leave me like this. I put my clothes into a suitcase. You left me first. You just didn't think I'd find out. She covered her mouth. I thought you'd forgive me. I thought we could move past this. I zipped the suitcase halfway. You didn't think about me at all. She grabbed my arm again. I did. I swear I did. I love you, Noah. I shook my head. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done what you did. Her eyes filled with tears. I made a mistake. One mistake. I looked at her, exhausted. You lied about how long it's been happening. Jake told me everything. Her face went pale. Jake, what does he know? He knows Ryan bragged about it. For months. She stumbled back. No, he's lying. I'm not interested in hearing more lies. Emily collapsed onto the edge of the bed. Noah, please. I can't lose you. I'll do anything. I'll block him right now. I'll show you. Her phone lit up on the nightstand. A new message. From Ryan. The preview flashed clearly. You told him we're done? Call me. Emily lunged for the phone, but I saw it first. She froze when she realized I'd read it. My voice came out quiet, almost too calm. So you're still talking to him? It's not, she started. I raised a hand. Don't. Just don't. She reached toward me, shaking. It's complicated. No, I said. It's simple. You weren't choosing me. You were choosing him and keeping me as backup. Her tears spilled over. Noah, that's not true. You're the one I want. I finished zipping the suitcase. If that were true, he wouldn't be texting you right now. She grabbed the suitcase handle. Please don't go. I'll tell him to stop. I'll block him. I'll delete him from my life. I pulled the suitcase gently from her hands. You didn't choose me when it mattered. Noah, please. I'm done. She stared at me like the words physically hit her. Don't say that. You don't mean it. I do. She shook her head, crying harder. No, you're angry. You're hurt. You're not thinking clearly. I looked her in the eyes. I'm thinking clearer than ever. She tried to touch my face, but I stepped back. Please, she whispered. I can't lose you. I don't want to lose you. I softened my voice. Emily, I'm not yelling. I'm not fighting. But I'm not staying. Don't leave, she sobbed. I'm begging you. I picked up the suitcase. Goodbye, Emily. When I walked out, she followed me all the way to the door, crying and pleading, but I didn't turn around. I walked down the stairs with the sound of her voice echoing behind me, fading with every step. When I reached my car, I let out a shaky breath. My hands trembled, but my mind felt strangely steady. I didn't call my parents. I didn't tell Ryan anything. I didn't respond to Emily's messages. I went completely silent. For days, I didn't answer a single call from anyone connected to that part of my life. I moved into a small rental room near my workplace. It wasn't much, but it felt like mine, quiet, empty, peaceful. I started keeping to myself, going to work, coming home, sleeping, repeating. I didn't have the energy for anything else. One afternoon at work, while I sat in the break room staring at my coffee, Grace walked in. She paused when she saw me. "You okay?" she asked softly. I shrugged. "Not really." She sat across from me. "You don't have to talk. Just don't sit alone if it hurts." I didn't know why, but I said, "I moved out." She nodded gently. "Good. That sounds like the right choice." I sighed. "Everyone else thinks it wasn't." "Everyone else isn't you," she said. "Only you know what you can live with." Her voice was calm, steady. No pressure, no judgment. I rubbed my face. "It's been a mess." "I figured," she said. "I've seen you walk around like you're carrying something heavy." I gave a tired laugh. "Feels like it." She leaned forward a little. "If you ever want to talk, I'll listen." I looked at her. "Why?" She shrugged lightly. "Because you deserve someone who listens." Something in my chest loosened a little. "Thanks." She smiled faintly. "You don't have to thank me. Just be honest with yourself. You did something hard. That takes strength." Her words hit deeper than I expected. No one had called me strong in weeks. I whispered. "I felt like I was losing everything." She shook her head. "You're not losing everything. You're letting go of what was hurting you." I let out a slow breath. "I hope so." She tapped her fingers on the table gently. "You will. One step at a time." For the first time, I felt seen, really seen. Not judged. Not blamed. Not told to get over it. Just understood. When I left the break room that day, something inside me shifted. I wasn't healed, but I wasn't drowning either. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I felt the faintest sense of direction, like my life might finally be heading somewhere I chose for myself. For weeks, I didn't hear a single thing from Emily. No calls. No texts. No crying at my door. Nothing. At first, I kept checking my phone, expecting some long message from her, but after a while, the silence felt strangely peaceful. I went to work, came home, talked a little with Grace, and tried to build some kind of normal life again. One afternoon, while I was leaving work, someone called out, "Noah." I turned around and saw Lucas, Emily's older brother, walking toward me fast. He looked frustrated, tired, and confused. "Man, I've been trying to find you everywhere," he said. I nodded. "What do you want, Lucas?" He let out a long sigh. "We need to talk about Emily." I stiffened. "I don't need to talk about her." He shook his head. "Yeah, well, I do. She's falling apart." I crossed my arms. "That's not my problem anymore." Lucas frowned. "You think I'm here to guilt you?" "No. I just want to understand what happened." I shrugged. "Ask your sister." "I did," he said. "She cried for an hour and told me she ruined everything. She said you won't even answer her." I looked away. There's nothing left to say. Lucas stepped closer. "She told me Ryan dumped her. Said she was too much drama." His words, not mine. I felt something shift inside me. Not satisfaction, not joy. Just a cold, quiet breath of relief. "Figures," I muttered. Lucas rubbed his forehead. "She's a mess. She barely eats. She barely sleeps. She keeps saying she lost the only good person in her life." I stayed silent. He continued, "She asked me to talk to you. To convince you to hear her out." I shook my head. "No." Lucas raised a brow. "That's it. That's it," I said. "I'm done speaking to her." He hesitated. "You really loved her, didn't you?" I nodded once. "Yeah, and she knew that." Lucas sighed again. "I'm not taking sides, but I get why you walked away." "Good," I said, "because I'm not going back." We stood there in silence for a moment before he asked, "You want a ride home or something?" I shook my head. "I'm fine." "All right," he said softly. "Take care of yourself, Noah." "Seriously." "You too," I replied. When he walked away, I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel anger. I felt free. Like someone finally cut the last string tying me to a life that wasn't mine anymore. Later that week, Grace walked up to me during lunch. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah." She raised an eyebrow. "That's new. Something happened." I shrugged. "Emily's brother found me." She leaned forward. "And?" "He said she's falling apart." Grace's face softened. "How do you feel about that?" I took a slow breath. "Lighter." She nodded gently. "Then that's the right feeling." I looked at her. "Is it wrong that I don't feel bad?" "No," she said. "It means you're healing." The next morning, Jake walked into the break room while I was pouring coffee. "Hey," he said. "You hear about Ryan?" I shook my head. "No. What now?" Jake smirked. His girlfriend found out everything. She dumped him in front of half the office. I blinked. He had a girlfriend? Jake nodded. Yep. Long term. Apparently, he was lying to her too. She showed up and tore into him. It was brutal. I leaned against the counter. "Anything else?" Jake lowered his voice. "He got written up. HR's on him for all the crap he's been saying around the office. And honestly, he might get fired. People reported him." I let out a slow breath. "You told them?" He nodded. "I told the truth. He deserved it." I didn't smile, but something warm settled in my chest, like justice finally remembered my name. "Thanks, Jake," I said. "Anytime," he replied. Guys like him always get caught eventually. When I left work that day, my phone lit up with Emily's name again, but I didn't open the messages. I didn't need to. My silence said everything I wanted to say. At home, I sat on the edge of my bed, thinking about everything Lucas told me. All the crying, all the begging, all the regret. But it wasn't the kind of regret that came from love. It was the regret that came from losing stability, losing comfort, losing a safety net she thought would always be there. She didn't want me, I whispered to myself. She wanted what I gave her. That realization tasted like truth, sharp and bitter. A few days later, my mom called. This time, her voice wasn't angry or annoyed, it was nervous. "Noah," she said, "your aunt asked me what happened with you and Emily." I didn't know what to tell her. I sat down. "Tell her the truth." My mom hesitated. "People will judge her." I replied, "People should judge her." Silence hung between us. Then she whispered, "I'm sorry, Noah." I blinked. "For what?" "For not listening to you earlier. Your father and we shouldn't have pushed you." My voice softened. "I just needed support." "I know," she said. "We were wrong." Hearing that felt like breathing clean air for the first time in months. After the call ended, I walked outside, letting the wind hit my face. Everything around me suddenly felt lighter, almost unfamiliar. Like I was stepping into a life that had been waiting for me to finally show up. Later that night, Grace texted me. "You doing okay today?" I stared at her message for a moment before typing back. "Yeah. For the first time, yeah." She replied. "Good. You deserve that." I set my phone down and exhaled. Emily falling apart. Ryan losing everything he bragged about. My parents finally understanding. The silence turning into strength. The peace recovering piece by piece. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to fight. I didn't need to scream. I just needed to step back and let karma do its slow, quiet work. And now, with every truth coming to light, I could finally breathe again. I was finishing my shift when the sky opened up and rain slammed against the windows. I grabbed my bag and headed toward the entrance, but the moment the door slid open, I froze. Emily stood there in the rain, soaked from head to toe, crying so hard her whole body shook. When she saw me, she whispered, "Noah, please," and stumbled forward. I stepped outside, but I didn't touch her. "Emily, what are you doing here?" She fell to her knees in a puddle. "I'm begging you. I made the biggest mistake of my life." I looked down at her, feeling nothing. No anger, no love, no pity. Just distance. "Get up, Emily." She shook her head. "No, not until you listen." I sighed. "I am listening." She grabbed my pant leg. "Take me back. Please. I can fix everything. I swear." I stepped back, breaking her grip. "You can't fix what's already broken." She cried harder. "I'll do therapy. I'll delete every contact. I'll move anywhere you want. I cut her off. "Emily, stop." Her voice cracked. "Why won't you even try?" I stared at her. "Because the person I loved doesn't exist anymore." She pressed her hands to her face. "I know I ruined everything. I know I hurt you. I know you didn't deserve any of it." I said quietly, "You're not saying this because you love me. You're saying this because you lost me." She sobbed. "Yes, I lost you, and I hate myself for it." I shook my head. "You didn't hate yourself when you made the choices you made." She reached for my jacket. "Please let me hold you. Just once." I stepped back again. "No." She stared up at me, rain dripping from her eyelashes. Do you hate me?" I answered honestly. "I don't feel anything." That broke her more than any scream would have. She whispered, "You used to look at me like I was your whole world." "I did," I said. "But worlds can fall apart." "Noah, please," she whispered. Please don't leave me like this. I took a slow breath. I left a long time ago. I just didn't realize it then. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering. If you walk away, it's over. I nodded. It was over the moment you chose him. She closed her eyes, defeated. I'm sorry. I know, I replied. But sorry isn't enough. I turned around and walked back inside. She didn't follow. She didn't call my name. She just sobbed quietly in the rain while the door closed between us. 2 days later, Ryan showed up outside my building. He leaned against a trash bin, trying to look casual, but his eyes darted everywhere like he expected someone to attack him. When he saw me, he straightened up. Noah. Hey, we need to talk. I kept walking. No, we don't. He jogged beside me. Come on, man, don't be like that. I glanced at him. Like what? Cold, he said. I'm trying to make peace. I almost laughed. Peace? Yeah, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. I messed up, okay? I know that. But we were friends once. We were, I said. Until you destroyed that. He groaned. It wasn't that serious. I stopped walking. Say that again. He raised his hands. Okay. It was serious. I get it. I walked again. No, you don't. Ryan followed. Look, man, Emily's losing it. She won't stop crying. She's a mess. And everyone's on my case too. I lost my girl. I lost my job. HR's after me. I cut him off. And that's my problem because... He blinked. Seriously? Yes, I said. Seriously. He grabbed my shoulder. Dude, just hear me. I shoved his hand off. Don't touch me. He looked stunned. You've changed. I nodded. I had to. He muttered. You think you're better than me now? I replied calmly. No. I just know I'm worth more than what you and Emily did. He stared at me, breathing hard. So that's it? You're just cutting us off. Yes. He scoffed. Fine. Whatever. I walked away without looking back. Later that week, I sat with Grace during our break. She handed me a cup of tea. You look tired, she said softly. I took the cup. It's been a long week. She nodded. I heard someone yelling outside yesterday. Was that? I nodded. Emily. She sighed. You okay? I took a sip. Surprisingly, yeah. She smiled gently. Good. I'm glad you're not letting them drag you down again. I leaned back. She begged me. On her knees. Grace looked at me carefully. And you didn't go back. That's strength. I shrugged. It didn't feel like strength. It felt empty. Maybe that's healing, she said. Sometimes healing feels like nothing. I looked at her. Why do you always know what to say? She gave a small smile. Because I actually listen. Her voice was soft, but it settled something inside me. I whispered. I feel different now. How? She asked. Like I'm waking up, I said. Like for the first time, I'm seeing what I deserve. Grace nodded. And what do you deserve? I met her eyes. Respect. Honesty. Peace. She held my gaze. And you will have all of that. For a moment, neither of us said anything. The silence felt warm, steady, safe. I whispered. I never felt like this with Emily. Grace didn't move closer. She didn't touch my hand. She just said, that's because she didn't see you. Not really. I swallowed. And you do. She nodded softly. Yeah, I see you. Those 3 words hit harder than any apology Emily ever gave me. That night, I stood outside my small apartment, looking at the quiet street. For the first time in a long time, I felt whole. Not completely healed, but whole enough to stand on my own. And as I took a deep breath, I realized the power shift was real. Their world was falling apart. Mine was finally beginning. I woke up to a strange quiet. No alarms. No calls. No panic. Just silence. Today would have been my wedding day. The thought hit me like a soft tap instead of a punch. I sat on the edge of my bed and whispered, I'm not supposed to be here. I was supposed to be getting married right now. My phone buzzed with the first notification of the morning. Grace. Ready for the drive? I texted back. Yeah. Pick me up. On my way. When she pulled up, I got into the passenger seat. She glanced at me carefully. How are you feeling? I shrugged. I'm not sure. She started driving. Then let's figure it out. We left the city behind, letting the roads get wider and emptier. I stared out the window before saying, this should have been my happiest day. Grace kept her eyes on the road. And yet here you are. Still standing. Still breathing. I exhaled slowly. I thought today would destroy me. She said softly, only if you let it. I leaned back. Do you want to know something stupid? Tell me, she said. I used to imagine the way Emily would smile at the altar. Grace nodded gently. And now? I met her eyes. Now I can't imagine anything with her. She whispered, that's healing. We drove until we reached a small lake. We sat on a bench near the water. The wind was cool, carrying the smell of pine and something peaceful. Grace rested her hands on her lap. Tell me everything. All of it. I stared at the lake. Then I started talking. Not just the facts, my feelings, my shame, my fear, my heartbreak. I told her, I felt like I wasn't enough. She said, you were more than enough. I said, I blamed myself. She replied, you shouldn't have. I said, I thought I was weak. She shook her head. No, you survived what would break most people. At one point, my voice cracked. I hate that I loved someone who chose someone else. Grace looked at me with steady eyes. You didn't love wrong. She did. I breathed deeply, and something inside me loosened. I needed to hear that. I know, she said. We sat in silence for a moment before I said, thank you for being here. You don't have to thank me, she replied. I'm here because you deserve someone in your corner. I smiled faintly. Feels weird having support. She laughed softly. Get used to it. When we finally headed back, I felt lighter, like I left some part of my pain at the lake. The kind that doesn't belong to me anymore. As soon as we returned to the city, my phone buzzed again. This time, Emily's name flashed across the screen. A long message previewed itself. I still dream about you. I ruined everything. I hope one day you can forgive me. I handed Grace my phone. She still doesn't get it. Grace read the first line and handed it back. And she might never get it. I'm not replying, I said. You don't need to, she replied. After dropping me off, Grace squeezed my shoulder. Be proud of yourself today. For what? I asked. For choosing you, she said. I watched her drive away, feeling the truth of her words settle warmly inside me. A few hours later, my dad called. I answered out of habit. Noah, he said quietly, your mother and I want to apologize. I sat on my bed. For what? For pushing you. For not listening. For everything. I swallowed. I needed you both. He replied, we know. We failed you. We're sorry. I didn't say it's okay. I just said, thank you. After the call, I stared at the ceiling for a moment before whispering, people change too late sometimes. That evening, Jake sent me a casual message. Ryan moved to another city. Burned every bridge. Guy's done. I stared at the text and felt nothing. No pleasure. No triumph. Just distance, the same kind I felt when I saw Emily in the rain. I typed back, good to know. Jake replied, you doing better? I answered honestly, yeah, I am. I didn't think about Ryan again. Later that night, I walked outside for fresh air. The streetlights glowed softly. Cars passed in the distance. For the first time in months, the world didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel loud. It felt quiet in a way that made sense. I whispered to myself, I made it through. As I stood there, I realized something important. Something I had been too hurt to see earlier. I didn't need Emily to apologize again. I didn't need Ryan to fall apart. I didn't need my parents to fully understand. And I didn't need revenge. I just needed myself. My strength. My clarity. My peace. For the first time, I wasn't holding on to the pain. I wasn't replaying the betrayal. I wasn't drowning in anger. I was free. Not because I won anything. Not because they lost anything. But because I finally let go of everything that chained me to them. I walked back inside, shut the door, and whispered to myself, this is my life now. My future. My choice. No wedding. No heartbreak. No begging. No noise. Just me. And the quiet victory I earned by surviving. I didn't destroy them. I didn't expose them. I didn't fight for control. I simply walked away. And karma, slow, patient, and exact, did everything else. I lay in bed with a small, tired smile. Today should have been a day of vows and promises. Instead, it became the day I chose myself. A better vow. A better promise. One meant only for me. And as I closed my eyes, I finally felt it. Not relief, not escape, but true, steady freedom.